Hi. Ooh, I feel a bit weird. Hello, gang. Um, oh, that's weird. You can see my screen in the window reflection. Let me pull that curtain, otherwise that'll distract me the whole time. Hello, everyone. It's ooh. I'm a bit nervous, really. I feel a bit nervous about making sure I've done the end of the story justice. I hope it. I'm pleased with it. Um, but hi everyone. For the last time in this story, I'm not going to get too emotional because that makes it feel like we're not going to do this again. We totally can. So so don't. So let's not feel emotional. We'll feel sad, but it might not even be the end of Emma. We don't even know. So yes. Hi everybody. I've had quite a stressful day. I'm really glad I wrote the chapter yesterday while I was in a good mood, because I've had a very annoying day, and but I'm excited to round off the story. Before we did that, I've been looking through the the plot, actually, and I was sort of thinking to myself, like, what an interesting project this has been and what it's been like writing it, and then sort of thinking about the choices and, like, is it has it been an illusion of choice? And then I was sort of looking through all the different ways this story could have gone, all the things that I had in my head that could happen, and who knew, and how we've ended up here. So I thought, just before we do the last chapter, I want to go back a little way to when I asked you to choose two characters, because that really could have changed the book quite significantly. So I don't know why I'm doing this. I just wanted to give you an idea of what the outcomes could have been there. So you chose Simon and Rebecca, which meant Fiona and Simon giving it another go, and Emma doesn't speak to Jack because Rebecca comes round again. So that's why she didn't get together with Jack. If you'd chosen Jack and Norman, Emma would have sorted things out with Jack, and Fiona would have sold Norman's ring, and they would finally have gone out for a meal on Norman's money, but Fiona would have stayed single and never got together with Simon. If you'd chosen Anya and Norman, Anya would have called Emma and Fiona because Norman was at her restaurant with a different woman, and like, it was all going hilariously wrong. And so she'd have called Fiona and Emma quickly. And then Anya was going to tell Emma to get over herself and straighten things out with Jack. And so Emma would have. And if you'd have voted Theo and Simon, they were going to go to the zoo so that Fiona could bump into Simon. And then they'd have seen Elaine and Theo there. And Emma would have been secretly pleased about them getting together. And she'd have gone and sorted things out with Jack. So I just wanted you to know that those options were there so that you can't be too mad at me. Because I feel like 3 out of my 4 options there left Emma and Jack together, and you really picked the one that didn't. So I don't know why I'm doing that. But yeah, there you go. So there's a little bit of more insight into the choices. So I suppose we should do the final chapter, shouldn't we? Oh, yeah. Durka says, nah, Theo shouldn't go back to Elaine. Why not? They really liked. Well, they didn't. They had a terrible, tempestuous relationship, but you never know. Well, okay. So we should do the final chapter. Let's do it. So when we left Emma, she was going to warm up a hot chocolate, and was thinking about whether or not she should message Matt, the nice guy from the spa. So we'll see if she messages Matt, shall we? Okay. Ooh, okay. All right. Emma stood in the kitchen, her hot chocolate back in the saucepan, warming gently. She thought about that kiss with Jack when they'd been here doing this together. It had been such a nice surprise, so nice and so very welcome. She thought about whether he might still want to kiss her. Hang on, have I already read this chapter? I can't remember it. No, I haven't read this chapter. Oh, when I've read them to Tom now, I get really confused. No, I have read this chapter. Have I read this chapter? No, I haven't. Oh my God, come on, girl, get your brain in gear. Uh, What's wrong with me, eh? Emma stood in the kitchen, her hot chocolate back in the saucepan, warming gently. She thought about that kiss with Jack when they'd been here doing this together. It had been such a surprise, so nice and so very welcome. She thought about whether he might still want to kiss her, and then realised she had well and truly put paid to that by cancelling her date with him and opting for her disastrous night with Theo. Screw it. A messaging match, she decided, and her thumbs began flying across the screen, putting together a nice casual hello. She sent the message and poured the drink back into her mug and walked back to the living room. By the time she sat down on the sofa, he had replied. He remembered her. He asked how she was and if they'd had a nice time when at the spa. It was quite a quick response, and Emma wasn't sure about dating etiquette as to whether she was supposed to wait before replying or match his response. Stop playing games, she told herself. Games and being confusing is what's got you into this slumpy, sad place. Just message him. And if someone replying too quickly puts him off, then he's not the man for you. That felt like a good decision to make, and Emma confidently sent another message back. She asked him some questions, feeling bold. She asked where he was from and what had brought him to Bath. This felt good. It felt healthy and fun and normal. His response pinged up. She flicked across to the inbox on the app and noticed she also had several other messages. She looked at them with surprise. 2 of the messages said hello. One said, "You up?" and the last was a bit more of a fully fledged message that proved he'd at least looked at her profile. She scanned his profile. He looked nice. By the time she replied, she realised several minutes had gone by since Matt's message, and she raced back to it to not seem rude. This was going to be fun, a fun little correspondence game. She decided to run a bath and give herself an hour of exchanging messages before bed. She filled the bath with hot water and plenty of white, fluffy bubbles and then climbed in. Do not, under any circumstances, she thought to herself, drop your phone in this bath. Emma lay back into the bubbles and felt utterly serene. If she was honest with herself, she was sad at the thought of not being able to see where things went with Jack. But a little part of her felt like she probably deserved that. She treated him badly by cancelling on him and by being so distracted by Theo. She'd learned a lesson, and she didn't feel like she could come between him and Rebecca. She had no idea if things between she and him would even work, so how could she come between him and his ex-wife when there was so much history? You don't even know that he's trying to get back with Rebecca, said a persistent voice in her head, but she shook it away. It didn't matter. He was clearly trying to salvage something there, and she didn't want to be flighty and difficult and non-committal if his emotional energy was elsewhere. Decision made. She rested her head against the bath and replied to a few of the more interesting profiles that had messaged her. It was a no to anyone with a photo next to a drugged tiger. It was a no to anyone who had a shirtless photo. Oh. It was a no to almost everyone with a shirtless photo. This is fun, she thought, thoroughly enjoying her window shopping. She was also continuing to hold a very engaging conversation with Matt. They were swapping horror stories of terrible customers at each of their jobs. He was funny and chatty, and she was enjoying talking to him. Suddenly, Emma froze. No, this couldn't be happening. As she'd been lazing about, not focusing on anything except messages and chat and funny things to fling back, she'd been floating her legs around in the water, and without thinking about it, she had idly been exploring the taps with her feet and had popped a toe into the open tap. She had then lazily tried to move her leg back down, only to find her toe completely stuck. Again. This cannot be happening, she said out loud to the ceramic tiles. She placed her phone carefully on the closed lid of the toilet and focused on her stupid toe. She gently pulled with her leg, but it was not coming out, and it was really starting to throb already. It must have been further in than last time. She didn't remember it getting this uncomfortable this quickly. Emma tugged with urgency, but found her toe completely unwilling to budge. Oh, for fuck's sake, she railed. How was she back at square one? What was wrong with her? Why couldn't she just have a bath and do some messaging like an adult without something this ridiculous happening? She tried with all her might to pull the offending toe out of the tap, but it was not budging, and the panic started to rise up her skin. What am I going to do? Call Fiona. She can't get in. She doesn't have keys. Call Jack. He's already in the building. I can't call Jack to come and rescue me. I'm naked in the bath with my toe stuck in a tap. Okay, then. Well, it'll have to be the fire department. I can't call them either. Then Jack will know something is wrong and probably come down. Well, then cut out the middleman and just call Jack. She sat in the cooling water and could have screamed. Instead, she splashed loudly into the bubbles in an impotent rage. She eyed her phone where it lay and wondered how it could betray her like this. Then she picked it up and scrolled through her contacts. Please don't answer, she chanted internally. Jack answered on the phone on the third ring. Emma, hi. Emma felt her blood run cold at the thought of what she now had to say out loud to another adult. Hi, Jack, how are you? She could at least delay the moment for as long as possible. I'm fine, yeah, quiet day. How are you? How was your big party? Oh, it was terrible. I left after 2 hours. Listen, you're not at home, are you? She had no idea at all why she was trying to sound casual. Any pretense that she was casual was going to go right out the window with her next few sentences. Yes, I'm home. Everything all right? Emma tried to get comfortable, but it was hard to keep her balance with one leg stuck. She braced herself with an arm and took a deep breath and said, no, not really. Look, Emma, if you're calling to apologize, it's really okay. There's no need. I ended up having quite a good chat with Rebecca that night. She stayed until about 2 in the end and had to come back and get her car the next morning because we'd had so much to drink. It was nice to finally really feel like we put a lot of ghosts to bed. I should be thanking you. Emma's head began to swim. So they weren't rekindling a love affair? They were just packing one away a bit tidier? That sounds really healthy, she said, and meant it, despite wishing she didn't have one toe trapped in some plumbing as she tried to sound mature. Hey, do you fancy coming up for a hot chocolate? Said Jack, and a faint note of flirting seemed to be in his voice. Emma groaned internally. I can't, she began, but he interrupted her again. Sure. Oh, okay. I understand. Look, can I just ask, though, did I mess up somewhere? Because I felt like we were getting on well, and then, I don't know. I'm really sorry if I did something wrong. No, it's not that, Emma panicked. It's just I've got my toe stuck in a tap. There was a silence at the other end of the line, followed by a puffing out of breath and then Jack clearing his throat. Sorry, you've what? Oh my God, this is so embarrassing. I'm in the bath and I've got my toe stuck in the tap. I can't get it out. I need your help. She could hear him beginning to laugh, and it made her smile too. In a life crowded with ridiculous moments, this might be the most ridiculous. I'll be down in a second, Jack said, and the line went dead. Emma tried to arrange the bubbles into a more covering pattern while she waited for him. She heard footsteps moving about urgently upstairs, and then after a few more seconds she heard her own flat door opening. Emma? Jack's voice was in the hall. In here, she said dismally, and waited for him to enter the bathroom and for her death from humiliation. His face appeared round the bathroom door, an adorable grin spread across it. Oh, you weren't joking, he said, pushing the door open and stepping in. Emma felt a thrill go through her. Of all the ways she thought she might be naked around him, this wasn't it. I wish I was joking, she said. He knelt down beside the bath and produced a stick of butter from his pocket. She laughed. This was so stupid. Fiona was going to cry laughing. Jack warmed up a bit of butter and began greasing Emma's toe. Emma thought it must be the most ridiculous and erotic thing that had ever happened to her. How was she tingling all over at the same time as laughing her head off at how stupid the situation was? Jack expertly massaged the butter into Emma's toe and around the tap, and then began to work her toe around in small circles. As he placed one hand on her calf to get a better purchase, she gasped involuntarily at the shock of desire that went through her. Her toe came sliding out of the tap without notice. Her foot hit the water and sent a spray of bubbles up. It covered both of them like confetti. "There," said Jack. "You may go free." Emma sat in the bath, not sure what to do. She looked at Jack, feeling exposed and terrified. "So you're not getting back together with Rebecca," she said, surprising herself that those were the first words out of her mouth. Jack looked surprised too. "No, no, what gave you that idea?" he stuttered. "Emma, I've been trying to make it pretty clear. I like you." Emma nodded. She couldn't keep the smile off her face. Something about him just felt so right. Be brave, she told herself, and the bravest version of everyone she could possibly be nodded its head and took the reins. Emma stood up in the bath, bubbles and water sliding down over her smooth skin as she stood naked before him. She was going to be seen. He took a breath in, seemingly unable to stop himself from looking her up and down. He took a step towards her and placed one hand lightly on her bare hip. They kissed. One stood dripping in the bath, the other leaning in. Emma reached out a hand to take the hand of his that wasn't on her hip and had to pull away from the kiss to laugh hard when she found he was still holding the stick of butter. Jack laughed too, then kissed her again, hard and passionate, the butter falling to the floor. She threw her arms around his neck, spraying water across the bathroom and not caring. She shivered deliciously at the cold air on her wet skin. They stayed that way for a minute, locked together. Then he felt the goosebumps on her skin beneath his fingers and stepped back. He took the towel gently off the rail and wrapped it around her body. He offered her a hand to step gently out of the bath, and she took it, smiling. "Well," she said, suddenly shy now that the moment was over. Now was the point where she had to do the rest of it. How would she know what to do? What if she messed it up? What if... "Well, indeed," said Jack, interrupting the thoughts that were threatening to spill over and talk her out of everything she thought she might be able to do. "We'd better go and tell Elliot the good news." There you go. That is the end of I don't know, whatever the book's called. We are going to have to pick a title at some point, aren't we? So there you go. Thank you to everybody that's listening. I know that there's a few of you that have reached out that don't feel confident or just don't choose to join in the comments and just sort of watch silently either now or later. And thank you very much for joining us, as much as to everybody that I chat to live on the video. Please don't think that just because I'm not sort of chatting with you in there that I don't really appreciate all the numbers on these and the tweets and the coffees and everything. Like, well done, you got there. You finally got there. There was another option, and it wasn't, I was never going to ruin her life, but I'm really pleased that you picked that option. I'm really, really pleased, because I really wanted it to end back in the bath where it had started. So well done. You found the funnest ending. You're all being very lovely. Yay. What a lot. I'm glad you like the end. I like scrolling back quickly and looking at all the emojis quickly. Yeah, I thought that was a nice end. I really wanted, like, as the story progressed and as I thought more about her, what I wanted was this idea of a woman that had just, or a person, I suppose it doesn't have to be a woman, a person that had sort of got used to nobody noticing her. And so the sort of not being able to let Theo go, that almost like that teenage thing, when you've never been someone that people are attracted to, and then that first person is attracted to you, and even though they're wrong for you, you can't let go of the fact that somebody finally fancies you. And I wanted that, but also that she knew that Jack was fulfilling, and I wanted to sort of play with this idea that she finally had friends, as well as like being a love story, because who doesn't like falling in love? But I wanted there to be a bit more to it. Was Caroline said, "I'd love to hear some of the story from Jack's perspective." Ooh, yeah, that could be interesting. Do you know what? That was another thing that I remembered in today's chapter, that really early on, I think in the chapter where where Jack first um, where Jack first appeared, I think I did write a couple of paragraphs from Jack's perspective. And then I read them out to Tom, and he was like, "Oh, you're gonna switch sort of perspective, like the narrator. Like, obviously, it was always in a narrator's voice, but it was gonna sort of focus more on Jack thinking and stuff." And Tom said, "Oh, no, I was quite enjoying it being from Emma." So I was like, "Oh, okay." And then I sort of looked at it and agreed with him, and then we went back to it all being from Emma, which is another kind of interesting thing to me about all the different ways this book could have gone, because it undoubtedly would have been a very good different story if that had been what it was. So yeah, thanks for watching. I've got to take a couple of weeks off to finish the clock book and to get that done. But then, as soon as that's sort of handed in, and I'm not trying to write that every day as well, we can probably do another one of these. I can't see why not. It seems fun, and it doesn't look like gigging's coming back anytime soon. So why not write more stories? So thank you so much for this project. It's been so lovely, lots and lots of fun, and I hope yeah, I hope you've enjoyed it. Uh, so thank you, and I'll see you on Twitter and Instagram and all sorts of other places. There won't be a podcast out this week, but there will be one next week. So if you fancy giving National Treasures a listen, if you're missing the dulcet tones of my voice, then just let me know. Right, lots of love, everybody, and I will have a look through all your comments because I know I've missed lots of stuff. And we'll see you for the next story in a couple of weeks. Take care. Bye.